What's up? This is Bam Margera, and you're watching The Awkward Side Hug.
That might be the cleanest you've ever done.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's the cleanest you've ever done that. That
Been
wasn't the
practicing.
cleanest after music thing though. What were you gonna say, Lex?
Yeah, I was about to say, and then we like ruin it by being sloppy ourselves, even though we're usually pretty clean. Yeah, no, that threw me off. I'm so used to hearing Willie Hung and then Bam Margera just like parades into the intro for us. I was expecting that, even though we literally went over it before the show.
So, this is the Awkward Side Hug. My name is Brian Andrew, and I'm here with Alex. I'm here with Steven. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Have a migraine, but that's what I get for being on a show for 2.5 hours prior. I don't plan good. I don't really have good time management, so I'm here though.
The first step is admitting your problem.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here and admitting that.
That is my fault.
That your migraine is your fault.
Exactly. Steven's fault.
I remember when I drafted Joe Mixon, and then it said in parentheses head, and then it said signed 4-year contract, and I was like, what the fuck? If you read more, it says it's migraines. So I was like, well, I don't give a shit if he has migraines. He better play Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
How was your weekend, Brian?
it was all right. I didn't do much.
Didn't do much, huh?
Mm.
I heard like some good news. What's
I've
the good
gotten on a
news?
knee or
Man, I haven't heard any good
Yeah.
news. The Clippers are cursed.
Oh, I know. I thought you were taking a knee for the anthem on Friday.
No, I took a knee to propose to my girlfriend.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, first, did she say yes?
She
I know,
said
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I was
And
like,
it's funny because it's funny. I've been sending that message. I'd say, like, I'll just be like, hey, by the way, I proposed over like last night, and then people just assume she said yes, but nobody asked how it went. Like, I could have just been like, yeah, I proposed, and it went bad. But
yeah, like you need like an ear, like, or like a shoulder to sort of like hear.
I don't
your
know.
problems.
If she said no, I don't think I would like tell anybody. I think I'd just keep that to myself. And then
Yeah,
like
yeah.
2 months down the line, like, by the way, I proposed, and she said no. It was pretty embarrassing. But,
once we realize that you guys aren't living together anymore, that's when you would tell us. Or...
I know, yeah.
Hey Brian, what's up with your new place? I'm like, oh well, 2 months ago she said no. So no, she said yes. And she enjoys the ring. I'd show you guys the ring right now, but she decided to go to Target. So
She went to show off her ring at Target.
Yeah.
yeah, she goes up to every employee there and just shows
Like,
the ring.
hey.
Brian
awesome.
and Brian and engagement rings go way back, dude. So
Wow. That just cleared my migraine right now. As it cleared, I had a stroke though. Dude,
okay.
I'm not doing good.
So I mean,
Work.
on top of that, great news for Brian and his next step or his next journey in life. Ash actually took a big step this past weekend, and we hit our 1-year anniversary, right?
Yeah,
And we missed it. Like
Yeah.
we literally have an
And we
episode
missed
every
it,
week.
so, yeah.
Because I was thinking about, I was like, because like we sometimes like in this conversation we're gonna discuss our process a little bit, right? And so like sometimes our process is we literally get on and we're like, all right, what are we talking about? And sometimes we try to think ahead. And I remember, and in my head, I was like, when did we start? Because I thought we started in August, and then I was like, crap, it's already halfway through September. But we missed it by only like a week, a week and a half. Now it's gonna be 2 weeks. But
I think in August is when we were piling all our stuff together, buying equipment, getting all the animations and the music, like just basically getting ready to launch in September. And for those of you out there that want to start a podcast, we definitely recommend it. It's fun. It's just fun to sit around with friends and people you enjoy being around and talk about stuff. I think, and this is, I don't know, you guys can chime in and tell me what you guys think, but The Awkward Side Hug is an ever-evolving show. And so we haven't quite found our exact niche yet, because we're kind of playing with different things. And, we welcome feedback, and we hope that you guys give us feedback. things you guys think that maybe we should pursue. We did a couple interviews. There's a couple episodes where just two of us. I'm trying to think back of the year of there was a time where we dropped one episode in 3 months. So I mean,
Like
we've kind of gone through different things.
So the process really was the first, I would say, 4 to 5 months. We were pretty good at least doing it every week or so, at least every 10 days we dropped an episode or so. Then we hit that weird 2020 hit, and we hit that weird let's do it every other week, because we decided we're gonna do it every other week because we just felt like, if we're being honest, there wasn't really a demand for the Awkward Side Hug. So we figured, like, if we drop it every other week, it works better for our schedules. But all that ended up doing was we would wait to the last minute on that second week and then realize if we couldn't do it, then it would now we're dropping one episode a month and stuff like that. And then we thought we were going to do a shit ton of episodes when COVID hit, but we realized we really didn't have the space or the time even to do that. And then we just hunkered down like in late June, July, and said, we just got to do this every week. We need to show up. We need to be a little bit more prepared. We need to start posting on Instagram. So I do feel like we're in, like, I'll call this phase 3 of the Awkward Side Hug. And so far, phase 3 has done pretty well. And
this is like phase 1.3 for me.
Phase 1.3? Yeah, that makes sense.
We're still in 1, but this is 0.3 of 1, because now we're releasing every week. We got topics every week. We're keeping up with Instagram. We're doing promo posts. Like, we're trying to get some Awkward Side Hug gear. We're doing the Awkward Side Hug Fantasy League. So, I mean, we got things in the works. Trying to get a couple more guests on the podcast for you guys. Shout out to all of our day one listeners. There's about 20 of you that are day ones.
Wasn't it like a good 40 to 90, like on the first day or first week that followed back?
Yeah. We did. I mean, not Instagrams, but actually like listeners.
The actual listeners. Yeah, you're right.
Been listening to the audio and watching the YouTube videos. I mean, like I said, we're still kind of learning what works for us, and I think that's the hardest part, is because as human beings, we want quick results. And so, we're expecting to have 1,000, 2,000 listeners right off the bat, but obviously we have to build our following and get out there and do the grind, and, the rest will come in time.
Yeah. It's crazy looking back at it where we've come a long way. Like, there's episodes and weeks where it felt like, man, we literally only got like 2 views on this stuff, right? Like, or on YouTube or something like that. And then now we kind of like plowed through that, and we're seeing like an increased average, like on that specific area, like the Instagram, like I said, like the 20 to 40 to 90 in the first week or whatever. And it was kind of like that, and it's been growing from that, like to like 400, 300, whatever.
So we have downloads on our streaming site, and that's kind of really, I feel like, where our primary stuff is. But I kind of use YouTube as there is probably a select amount of fans that actually like to see our faces and watch the visual version, like when they're at home or whatever. Our Got Fans episode that we did a couple of weeks ago is our highest viewed episode on YouTube, and it surpassed our very first episode.
Oh shoot, I didn't even know that.
So we don't average a lot of views.
I'm not a fan of the show.
Yeah, but and then Steven was just telling me last week that we had 2 consecutive days with the same amount of downloads, and that's very cool. That means some people heard it the first day and then even wanted to tune in the next day to get it.
Other episodes, yeah.
Right, and
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So like that's pretty cool.
I have that shirt, Steven. It's been distracting me this whole time.
We got it together, remember?
Yep. It's so funny. Yeah, I have that shirt. I think I've worn it on this podcast because that's why I was thinking about it. Why I was so distracted. Imagine if I wore that shirt today.
That would have been great.
That would have been amazing.
Great. We would have said, "Hey, like this was not planned. We're wearing the same shirt. Like, great minds think alike." So, but happy birthday to Ash, and the first year I think is obviously just learning the ups and downs of trying to do a podcast.
So for, I guess, the gift that we gave ourselves is we started the Awkward Side Hug Fantasy Football League. and we started an Awkward Side Hug Fantasy Football podcast. And to be honest, me and Steven put a lot of work into this last week. We were texting each other constantly, trying to figure out the ins and outs on how to do this. We even changed platform distribution sites so we could have 2 shows. And as a gift to, I guess, our following, we decided not to have the fantasy football show be on the Awkward Side Hug podcast thing. So we actually created a separate podcast. So you guys could go check it out. It's the Awkward Fantasy Football Show. It should be dropping every Tuesday on the same day we do this show. And
So it'll drop early morning Tuesday. It'll basically be a recap of the previous week. We'll kind of throw out a couple of games to watch for the following week. You know, we'll do basic injury reports and just kind of players to keep an eye on, some waiver wire ads, and then a couple of fun segments along the way. So I think, you know, tune into that. Like Brian said, it's not under the Awkward Side Hug show. It's going to be its own show. So if you go to Spotify, you know, Apple Podcasts, Google, all the streaming sites, you'll find it under the Awkward Fantasy Football Show.
Mm-hmm. And it's labeled a Awkward Side Hug podcast. It's not the Awkward Side Hug podcast, but it's a Awkward Side Hug podcast.
It falls under the brand.
It's in the brand. It's under the umbrella.
And basically, you know, it's a 25 to 35-minute podcast that basically is just going to recap, you know, the week at hand for you to, you know, basically, you know, some people don't have the time to look at all the data, the analytics, the news and all that. And so we're going to give you as much as we can in that time frame. So it's a digestible time, you know, amount of content that you can take in, you know, in 30 minutes on your way to work, on your way home, at the gym. So we want you to win your fantasy football league and be able to say, you know, this is because we listen to the Awkward Fantasy Football podcast.
Unless they listen to my Le'Veon
Which I
Bell
think-
take, then they probably lost week 1.
I listen to Lex. Hopefully I win.
That's okay. Well, speaking of the NFL, it started on Thursday, but you know, fourth wall moment. We're recording this on a Sunday. The NFL came back today, and I thought it was very interesting because it seems like the week the NFL has come back, there's been a lot of tactics that the NFL has used to be very progressive all of a sudden. And I guess, like, you know, I gotta give him credit. I do give him credit for trying to be a little bit more progressive. But do you feel like it's a little too late?
I don't think that it's too late. Again, like I think we discussed this in a past podcast, but it just doesn't seem genuine. The players are genuine. They're definitely, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're
The
definitely
Kansas City
genuine.
fans, they're genuine, right?
Oh man, yeah, they're very genuine. Being a Kansas City fan and hearing that, you know, it's a little disappointing, but you know, for the team to actually unite, both teams to unite and stand together through that stuff, and you know, not really care if the fans are, you know, booing or cheering or whatever, and just, you know, do their thing. I that was really, you know, a real positive thing for me.
Absolutely. Kaepernick came back to the NFL in a way on Madden.
That's big.
Do you feel that's more of an EA Sports move, or do you think the NFL had a say in that?
I think the NFL probably asked, "Hey, would it be possible to get Kaepernick in the game?"
Did you know Kaepernick had a say in it though, which is cool because obviously you have to get his okay too, right? You can't
Right,
just put
to use
Kaepernick in it.
to use the likeness of him, right?
And he even said, like, well, if I score a touchdown, my signature thing is the fist and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's a
Some
question.
people though. Yeah, go
Let
for
me
it.
just ask this because you mentioned that they had to ask Cap for permission. Does that apply for people who are actually on NFL teams?
I believe so. So this is the thing that I've always was intrigued about because I believe most likely everybody gives their okay.
Mhm.
But I remember there was years in the early Madden days, and I don't know if you remember this. LeVar Arrington, I believe it was.
Mhm.
He was always the Washington Redskins linebacker, number 54, number 55, or whatever his number was. And I believe it's because he never gave approval for his likeness to be on the game. But it does seem interesting that everyone does. I don't know. Like, I don't know if anyone gets $1 off of it, but it seems like everyone is on the game that's on every team. I don't know how easy it is to get their likeness. I don't know if anyone ever gives any pushback. Maybe it's in their contracts. Like, hey, by the way, you're signing your contract for this team. You're going to be on video games. I'm not quite sure, but I remember LeVar Arrington for the longest time was not on the early Madden games.
Yep. And I remember in the prime of like one of the arguable, greatest baseball players of all time, I was always confused, like, why the heck isn't this guy in the game? But he was like a John Doe in his position. I was like, why isn't he? And it was Barry Bonds. He wasn't in one of the main games in like the prime of his career. And I was always so like weirded out by that. I'm like, wait, okay, why is everybody else's name on here except for Barry Bonds? And I think it might have been something similar. That's the only explanation I could think of.
Another example. Well, obviously college football is the bigger example, but like the one of my is I believe Michael Jordan was not on NBA Jam either. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think you're correct.
So if you pick the Bulls, you're Scottie Pippen and whoever the hell else was there.
Yeah, I think they had Scottie Pippen. They had oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? Kukoc, I think, was on there, and was it
probably
Steve?
Dennis Rodman? Maybe
No, Dennis Rodman. Yeah, Dennis Rodman. Yeah,
but yeah, and then some people are standing, some people are sitting, and then there's
I
a
want
lot
to say,
of
I'm
promo
sorry,
this week.
the
Yeah, go for it.
the original NBA Jam, he wasn't on there, but I think later versions, I think he was on there.
You might be right.
You know what's funny? It's all starting to come back to me. It was literally like John Doe was the name, and it had the same stats as Barry Bonds, left-handed, like 97 power, 99 power from like the other side of the plate, like same type of stats as Barry Bonds, same position and everything.
Were you able to edit players? Like, could you go to the edit option and put Barry Bonds' name?
I want to say no, or else I might have would have, or I might have would have.
Well, you
I
were probably never. You always played as the Dodgers. You probably didn't give two shits about like
that too.
like.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. Because I think
You're
about
too busy.
when I was a kid, I never changed LeVar Arrington's name. I could have. What's up?
No, I was gonna say he's too busy pitching with Eric Gagne.
I
Too busy
remember
losing with Eric Karros.
me and Lex used to play MLB, and we would do a franchise and go in the playoffs. And we always picked Eric Gagne to be like our setup guy because he was like a 69 overall on the free agents, and we are just like, we're just gonna pick him up. Fuck it.
Yeah.
We'd always sign Bartolo Colon.
Dude,
and he was old then. And he's like still in the league.
And he'll still be like our third best pitcher.
Yeah.
Basically, he doesn't age.
So, you guys have any more thoughts on, I'm not like slamming him. I just thought it was very interesting because like you normally don't see this kind of stuff. I know they're like having stuff on the back of their helmets, and like I said, people are sitting, some people are standing, some people are in the locker rooms, and it's just a very interesting week because I remember the NFL was a hard no a long time ago, and now it's a very soft okay. It seems like.
I think the fact that they're giving up the players a voice, somewhat, like they're letting them wear, like you said, the shirts with they're still in control because you have to choose out of like 6 or 7 different phrases what you can wear, but the fact that they get to wear those things, and then the names on the back of the helmets, the anthem. Well, I don't know if they're really. Some people are still kneeling. And for the most part, a lot of the teams or a lot of the players were not kneeling. Baker Mayfield put out a statement. I don't know why I thought of him, but like he made it a big thing, and then he went and got shat on by the Ravens. So it's like, come on, dude, like, come on. But
how many more? Like, this is an off subject because like obviously the NFL I think is at least taking a step in the right direction, regardless of maybe where they were before. Maybe the expectations were so low that we're like, you know what, at least this is okay.
Was there any further down that the NFL could go from where they were?
I don't know, but the MLB is really challenging them. So but I was gonna say, like, just off topic real quick, how long do you think Baker Mayfield has to be relevant? Because they gave up on Johnny Manziel really fast, and now Baker is having his. I feel like they have a pretty long leash for Baker.
That's a hard I mean, because if they're in the middle of the pack, I don't know if they're going to be able to get a quarterback in the next year
There's
or two.
there's plenty of capable free agents.
So they keep him until the end of his rookie contract.
Jameis Winston kind of deal.
Yeah, because he's cheap, and I mean they're not losing every game. Again, and I think again we don't want to get too into sports, the NFL, because we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But um, a lot of the games today, or not a lot of the games, but all the games obviously today were the first action, like real game action that these players have had in months. And so, I mean, there's going to be some mistakes and some kinks that they have to work out. But overall, it was nice to not see a lot of injuries. You know, that I
But
think
what?
was a big concern.
But what if you're in the front office of the Browns and
Uh-huh.
you're best friends with Baker Mayfield, but he becomes a very toxic person and an unnecessary person in your life? How do you get rid of a friend like that?
That was a great transition. Um, the NFL is a business. It's kind of like life. So, um,
Okay, so let's take the same topic and move it out of the business and in our regular lives.
so how do you get rid of a bad friend, Lex?
I don't know. Just trying to get rid of this migraine right now. Shoot. I mean, yeah. If I feel like in those cases, it's more of just like a drifting apart rather than like an instant separation, like cutting
So
like an
yeah.
agreement or like
So I think just to clarify what we're talking about is maybe you have a childhood friend, a high school friend, a friend that you've known for a long time, and obviously life sets people on different paths, and maybe your guys' paths are kind of heading in different directions. Like you guys have or are in different areas of your life. Maybe you have kids and your friend doesn't, or you're married and your friend's not. But obviously you guys are boys, and um, how do you either maintain that relationship, or if they're kind of going too far off of what your goals are, like do you keep in contact? Should you feel obligated to reach out? Is it kind of just on a when we talk to each other, we talk to each other? Like, for instance, like for example, me, I have a friend who's definitely like in a different part of their life. I've known this person since middle school,
it
and
sounds like Steven's breaking up with me.
and he gets migraines all the time, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
No, but like this person, not Lex, um, obviously is in a different part of their life. Like I said, they're doing their own thing, but here I am adulting on the other side, trying to do the whole American dream, the white picket fence. And so like I don't feel obligated to always talk to this person, but I mean, when we text each other, I don't feel like I need to be different or act different. I guess my problem is I think sometimes I'm too loyal, whether it's good for me or not. And I'm sure you guys can relate. Like when you're in my circle, like, you're in my circle. And so I'm going to, ask Jay Juan over there about our Vegas trip, and how, like I said, when you're in my circle, I'm gonna just look out for you, have your back. And so whether it's somebody I talk to on a regular, or just an old friend like this person, like um, I'm always gonna have your back. So like, do you need to end the friendship? Do you just kind of keep it there staggering, or keep it like on the side, and whenever you guys text each other, your boys or whatever, blah blah blah. I think Brian said he has a friendship similar to that, right?
Yeah, I got to a point where I just had to stop responding.
Because they would text something that just is like, so like, why would you text this, or why would
Yeah,
you tell me
and
this?
it's just like I got to a point where I'm at a different point in my life. Like to be honest, like it's you have like these circles you're in, right? And you have your close circles, and sometimes you have separate circles where different friends are at. but at the same time, like you also have like these, and then those people are like in a bigger overall circle, and then like it's really hard to let people in or out. And as adults, like you don't really have to make new friends sometimes, you know, like you kind of who have who you have, and then like you might network, doesn't say you don't network, but like to have like actual friends, like you kind of somewhat have that established. um but then some people just grow up at a different rate, and you're off trying to do something different with your life, and they tend to think that like you're just, and the thing is like some people don't like to hear this, but people do change, and I change, and I might not be the same person that I was when I was 22, 23, saying the same things I was saying then, or doing the same things I was doing then. But some people who were friends with you at that time want you to be that same person, and if you're not, then it's just best like to let grow up and be different, you know. Kind of like what you're saying, like you're at an adulting stage, and that person's not. So it's like maybe you guys could still be cordial, but to be honest, like as day-to-day friends, you don't need that. And to be honest, it does. I know this is gonna sound weird, but like it does take time out of your day to reach out to your phone and to text people and to keep reaching out. And it's like a burden on your shoulders too to keep reaching out to these people that you feel like are not even contributing to your day in any way.
Right. I was going to say, to clarify what Brian's saying, it's sometimes it's not worth taking that time out of your day or out of your schedule to um, make contact with somebody who doesn't bring anything to the table of your life. Right. So, like, if you're not bringing anything positive, or if you're not helping me grow and basically, get to what my ultimate goal is, if you're bringing negative stuff, or you're just, bringing things that I don't need in my life, I'm not going to obviously make the effort to go out of my way to reach out to you, or, and this sounds bad, but to see how you're doing or whatnot. So I think, I guess, like Lex said earlier, I guess the friendship would just kind of end itself organically, and it'll kind of, you guys start drifting apart to where eventually you don't really talk to each other anymore.
Do you feel like your example has gotten to that point?
I don't think it's gotten to that point yet. Um, in honesty, like, I mean, this person isn't like the antichrist, of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I do view things different than they do, and but when I talk to them, or when I see them, like, we can have a decent conversation, but somewhere in the middle to the end of the conversation, it gets to the point where it's like, I don't know, like sometimes I might see them as childish, or not thinking of their future and kind of living in the now, and not laying the foundation for their future. Because nobody's gonna work for you, nobody's gonna pay your bills for you. You gotta lay the foundation at some point in your life, so you can reap the rewards later, when you do have a family, and you have kids.
Steven's gonna get like 7 text messages after this episode.
Yeah.
Hey, is that about me, bro?
And then, you know what? And then, to top it off, this person probably doesn't even listen to the podcast, which makes it worse.
That's
So,
true.
how can you be
That's
my
true.
friend and not listen to my podcast?
That's
Man?
funny.
What are your thoughts, Lex, before we close up?
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with all of it, and I think the most important thing about all of these examples is that it's perfectly okay, even if you're on the opposite end of that type of example. For example, myself, completely cut off communications with a friend because there were some lies that were exaggerated, and this person's partner decided to believe those lies, and because of that, my ex-friend had to believe their partner. So, and that was something Jesse had to kind of walk me through, like, hey man, you can't blame that person for sticking for that. I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, fine, you do you, I'll do me. And that's sort of what I was talking about, and one of something that I've put out in the past, where I compared it to Brian's advice of that whole Game of Thrones quote, where it's like, oh, like they lost a good friend. I lost someone who never really cared or valued my opinion because of that whole ordeal. So, and I think the biggest thing I learned from that is that that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I'll live my life. They'll live theirs.
I think it gets tricky too, when you involve, or not involve, but when there's a wife or kids involved in your friends, relationship, and obviously like they can't go against their family and their wife. It's kind of this unwritten rule. So I think that even makes the situation even more complex
Yeah.
and difficult.
Yeah, because that's why I was like mad at first, because I was like, bro, this is obviously like the craziest lie,
Right.
the craziest exaggerations, but like I said, Jesse made a good point when I was kind of talking it over with him. He was like, even if it is a lie, they're listening to their
We should
person.
just
I was
get
like,
Jesse
"Alright,
on here sometime because we
that's
talk
fine."
about him so many. We
I
talk
know,
about
right?
so much. I was gonna throw a point in
Jesse
this.
goes
and
to sleep at 8:00.
So I was gonna throw a point though. Is the biggest key to this though? Because I know exactly who each of us are talking about, and our lives are either the same or better without them, and that's kind of the key. And it's like, in a way, like keeping these people in our lives is just either going to bring us down or bring some negative energy or just whatever. But if your life's going to be either the same or better, then that's not a reflection on you. That's more a reflection on them and what they bring to your life. And it's okay to just let them go.
Yeah.
Like, you're growing up, you have a lot of crap on your plate. Like, you don't have to put up with a lot of stuff anymore.
Yeah, I agree. It's okay to let people leave your life.
Which brings us to when Lex left the podcast.
Uh,
He thought we were not bringing anything positive or good in his life. His life was better without us, so he went off and did his own thing.
I was
But
holding out for contract reasons.
Yeah, you were waiting for the fantasy football league. And
Is that
then
we're talking about each other like this whole time? These past
and I guess that's where we can leave it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Last episode of the Ash podcast ever. I'm just kidding.
1 year. That's it.
Right.
We ended in 1
Dude,
year.
this migraine's awkward.
Okay, we'll let you go then.
You guys keep going with the episode?